Here it goes. We're recording. So once again, thank you guys for coming back. This is my first interview here with Paul. That is can I call you like the main guy, the leader for the Wolves?
Yeah, organizer, general dog's body, you name it. Yeah.
All right. So we're here with Paul, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Premier League and also probably a lot about the Wolves because I coming back into the Premier League or like getting into the soccer world. I've noticed that the Wolves' history is pretty interesting. They were really strong back in the day, and they made their way back up, and now they're competing in like international cups in the Europa League, and they're like this close from being in the Champions League, right?
Yeah, kind of. You're going back probably around 5 years. We're in League Two. We'd suffered back-to-back relegations from the Premier League into the Championship and then straight back down to League One. So it was some really dark times in the not too distant past. So to be where we are now, kind of challenging in Europe, doing well in the Premier League, possibly on the cusp for the Champions League, it's beyond my expectations. I never dreamed of being in these types of positions.
And it would be the first time in the Champions Leagues, right?
It would be, yeah, kind of as this competition is known. We've got a long history as a club dating back to the 1950s where we were some of the kind of pioneers of the European games under floodlights for the first time, very high-profile friendlies with the likes of Honved from Hungary, who at that time they were the they were one of the main teams in Europe. So kind of Wolves has always had kind of a rich heritage of European football, but never at this particular stage of kind of Champions League and that caliber of opponent that we could be facing.
So I was kind of digging up and, mainly I go into Wikipedia because, I guess Wikipedia is like the main source of history. And I tend to be like a little history nerd. So I was going back and I saw that you guys were like one of the, I think it was 12 teams that started the whole like professional soccer basically in the world, in England.
Yeah, it's we were kind of one of the founding members of the Football League back in England in the 1880s or something like that. Wow. I'd have to do the history on that, but yeah, kind of rich heritage going back to all that time really. And being in England, it was a very kind of that league developed from kind of the Midlands and the north of the country, so very kind of a strong working class culture background, real kind of salt of the earth people, where these clubs kind of sprang up from. So it's kind of a good reflection of those types of teams that have got that heritage that take it all the way back to those times. It gives you a really kind of rich sense of feeling of what kind of soccer means to the people back in kind of England and those particular towns and cities.
Have you seen there's on Netflix there's a little series? Have you seen the English Game?
Yeah, it's a good reflection. It kind of definitely touches kind of accurately on the foundations of the league and everything what went before it. So yeah, it's a good watch. Even my wife tuned in and quite enjoyed it as well. So yeah, pretty decent.
Yes. So basically, if you don't know, the English Game is like a little 7-8 part series on Netflix, and it talks about the beginning of soccer as a professional sport. It's very interesting, and it was cool because obviously I saw it like a couple months back. And in reading the history of the Wolves, it kind of like put stuff together, a little bit, and it was kind of cool when like reality, I guess, in a way matches, what you.
Yeah, you start to hear some of the names, and I know they were very accurate with some of the players that featured, and those first few players to go from amateur into professional and starting getting paid. So I think that was accurate. The player who was from the old Etonians who went to the FA, that was all kind of, he was that's based on kind of what went on historically. So yeah, they did a good job. I think the Wolves are mentioned kind of 1 or 2 times as kind of, we're going to be playing the Wanderers, or that name's mentioned. So it wasn't too far after that kind of that period of time finished where the league started to form and it became competitive.
And before we get into the actual team, and I have a bunch of questions that I want to ask you about some players and some stuff, I wanted to ask how you got into like the Wolves. What's your story with the Wolves?
So yeah, mine growing up in England, the area that I grew up in, it's very split between 3 miles that way is Wolves, and pretty much 3 miles the other way is West Brom, and they're 2 bitter rivals. And I'm just so thankful that I was born on the right side of the fence that placed me as a Wolves fan. So my first game was 1998. And I was 8, and it was a playoff loss in the old 4th division. But after that time, that's kind of where the momentum started to build, and they enjoyed a couple of promotions after that. I started attending regularly in my teens, got a season ticket, started to travel away, kept up with the club through kind of university, and where I was living in the part of the country. Moved to America in 2011, and that was where our big kind of that downward spiral started, where we were in the Premier League at that time. It was our 3rd year, trying to get established, and it was a car wreck from that point on. And I thought I'd jinx them or something. I thought I was
Right.
the lucky charm, and it was me moving away, and nobody wanted to play anymore. But thankfully, they steadied that ship. We started to climb back, and then going on 3-4 years now, that's when we were purchased by Fosun, which is the big kind of Chinese conglomerate. So they've really been the catalyst for definitely the best coach that I've ever had in my experience of supporting the Wolves in Nuno. The investment that they've been able to make in the team as well, by getting some very kind of up and coming European talent kind of under the radar. They've done it very kind of stealthily, and then they've added these kind of cherries on the top, really, with the likes of Raul Jimenez and Yo Martinho, that you've got kind of a really nice blend of youth and tremendous experience. And it's beyond, there's never been a better time to watch the Wolves.
Have you seen also on Netflix, and you're a lot of Netflix stuff, Sunderland Till I Die?
Yeah. And it's the parallels between us and Sunderland are very accurate. We could easily have been in the situation that team's finding themselves now, a very large, loyal, working class fan base, hugely passionate about their team, but they've been in the doldrums kind of more often than not in recent years. And thankfully, we've had that infrastructure in place, and the people that are involved have ultimately brought us to this point where, with the new ownership and the new management team. But yeah, it could have easily gone even sourer than it was for the Wolves, for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty cool because obviously Sunderland, it was like a really good series. It kind of gives you obviously an insight into the club, and it was pretty interesting seeing how like you said, the Wolves kind of history. These past few years, it was kind of like you said, it was like a similar type of history. I mean, you guys, I guess, got lucky and were able to get bought by a good company.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Or a good group. And yeah, you were dropping some names. I watched the YouTube video, and it was like basically how you guys went from like the 2nd division, or League 2 to the Premier League. Mm-hmm. And one of the main guys you guys had was Neves. So what are your thoughts on him, on Neves?
I think he's going to be he's either going to captain the Wolves or he's going to captain the Portuguese national team, and he's going to be a mainstay, and he's going to be kind of the ultimate midfielder, and he's going to break, you know, a caps record for Portugal. He's kind of 22 now. He's got a good kind of 10 years, you know, top flight kind of pedigree awaiting him. He's got everything as a midfielder, and I think he'll be a true great, not only for the Wolves, but the Portuguese national team as well. I'm convinced about that.
And now I was looking at your squad, and y'all have a lot of Portuguese players, huh?
Yeah, it's the influence of the kind of the famous or infamous super agent, Jorge Mendes. So his first client was our coach. So Nuno Espirito Santo was his first client. Jorge Mendes, by all accounts, used to manage nightclubs. So his first client was Nuno. He got him a move that he was pushing for, and the rest, they say, is history. And he's gone on to form this Gestufe, his agency, which is kind of this big global kind of conglomerate group of agents, and it's the Mendes network, where players may jump from kind of team to team, and maybe there's a little bit of, well, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. And we've kind of picked up these players a lot through his stable, but also I think just having his influence has opened up some opportunities for other players that we may not have been able to see previously.
And what about Jimenez, Raul Jimenez? How did that thing come about?
You know, really out the blue. No one in England certainly hadn't really heard of him. Many thought when we signed him, it was initially kind of going to be on loan with a view to a permanent deal. A lot of people, me included, thought that he was coming in as kind of the backup, and we would have this other striker come in that he'd be behind. I don't think you can really kind of summarize how important he's been as well. You know, we've got such a spine to the team with our sweeper Cody, Neves in midfield. Then you've got Jimenez, who brings so much, not only through goal scoring, but how he links the team and how he dovetails with the other players, how he drops deep and picks the ball, holds the ball up, brings others into play. He's able to kind of dovetail with the two attackers either side of him phenomenally. And it's been a revelation, really, that we've got such a striker who's the fulcrum of our team, and really summarises kind of what the Wolves is all about at the moment.
And he has become like a very historical player for you guys, right? Like he has like the top goal scorer like in one season.
Yeah,
thing, right?
in the Premier League, he's got those kind of goal scoring records. I think he's getting up there on assists now as well. So that just goes to show you what he offers the team.
Useful,
or I think it's something kind of the combined goals and assists that he's been involved with is something like 75% or something crazy. So not only has he got that, but he's become such a kind of cult hero, cult following. The Wolves fans, they've really taken to him. He just comes across as a really nice guy. That's what people warm to. And ultimately, again, it kind of comes back to that history and what English fans like to see in traditional English players. It's that hard work, you know. It's putting, it's running for the ball. It's chasing it down. And who'd have thought that guy from Mexico would turn into the kind of atypical kind of English centre forward, and he has been, and the Wolves fans love him for that.
Yeah, that's crazy. And also, I was seeing that you guys have like a third kit, and it's like a green kit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's surely been done to kind of tap into the merchandise dollars down in Mexico, definitely. But yeah, I think the Wolves didn't realise what an asset they got on their hands in terms of kind of global appeal and global fan base purely from that signing. And, you know, I think his game's gone from strength to strength after joining the Wolves. You know, he's now Mexico's number 9, and he's got such an adoring fan base from his own country. You know, so it's been brilliant for everyone concerned.
That's crazy. That's crazy because, you know, Mexico usually, I've read somewhere that they usually take the most people to like World Cups and stuff like that. So obviously appealing to that Mexican, you know, part of fans, you know, I guess it can bring like the Wolves from being like maybe like a not known, you know, I don't know, an Arsenal or like a Manchester United, and kind of put them out there, you know, like Chicharito did for West Ham, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. So if I'm walking down the street in Houston, and I've got my Wolves jersey on with Raul on the back, then the people shout and they'll come up to you. And
oh, wow.
It's that kind of recognition of the jersey and the name, and it gauges people. And a little bit of a scoop for you, sadly, because of the pandemic, but we heard not too long back that it had actually been agreed that the Wolves were going to come over and play Club America here in Texas. Everything had been agreed. They were just settling on a venue, you know, trying to judge the demand and interest of the game. Yeah. That should have been set for this summer, and now kind of with the pandemic and everything tilted on its head, that's been shelved. But
man, that would have been nice, huh?
Would have been nice, yeah.
So, having the Wolves at home.
At home, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Relatively.
Second home, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. So going to that, before I get into asking you some questions about the games that are coming up, kind of tell me the story, or how did it feel to beat Manchester City 3-2 on that Christmas time game?
It was something else, you know. We at Houston Wolves, that was one of our watch parties over the Christmas break. So we had a great turnout for it. I can remember that game so vividly from the sending off, fairly kind of close into the game of their keeper Edison, and then you kind of thought, well, we might have a chance here. And then you got that incident with the penalty, and then the save and the retake and VAR, and that goal went in. And then straight after half time, Sterling broke away and scored, and it was kind of 2-0. And you thought, it's one of those days, you know. It doesn't matter that we're playing 10 against we're playing 11 against 10. They're 2 goals ahead. They're going to shut up shop, and it'll be a comfortable victory for them. And after that moment, something clicked, and it just felt that we were going to go on and at least claim a draw, and ultimately we had the momentum and we got the win. So
it was it was like a movie type win, you know, like you scored like in the 50 something, and then you tied up in like the early 80s, and finish it off like towards the end of the game.
Yeah, so
those are the games you want to watch, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, it was a good, good spectacle, good advert for the league. Had a little bit of everything. So yeah, if you're watching that as a neutral, you'd have certainly got entertainment value.
All right, and then also before we get into it, can you tell me the story behind the supporter group? How did you guys come about?
Yes, that was basically me coming over here, moving to the country, and definitely miss that connection with your team. I don't think we've ever had it as good now in America. I think the coverage for Premier League soccer on NBC is second to none, and having all of that access to the games, the behind the scenes stuff, the coverage that they do is phenomenal. But you still miss that kind of one-to-one kind of interaction. And again, being in a very kind of multicultural part of the world, oil and gas being very prominent here in Houston, having that connection with the UK from that industry, you just start to kind of find people through forums, online, social media, and then through a forum that I was a part of, turned out that there was another guy in Houston, so we met up, and then it kind of grew organically, and it was in that promotion, our most recent promotion season back to the Premier League, that we started to put something formal together. In that was our first of kind of official watch party. There was 5 of us, and that's grown step by step all the way through to last season when we made the semi-final of the FA Cup, and we filled the whole side of Nick's place off of Westheimer where we meet. That was wall-to-wall Wolves fans. Wow, and crazy. People turned up for that game that we'd never seen previously. So we were a good kind of 20, 30 plus strong watching that game. So doing well has helped. Playing attractive football that we've tapped into kind of a fan base here in America in Houston that of people that like the game and want a good side to follow. Yeah, the addition of Jimenez, and again that kind of the Mexican contingent there, that's added another element to it as well. So we've really grown thanks to all of that coming together.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. How many non-British people y'all have in y'all's group?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I'd say on an average watch party now, there's a good 50-50 split, which I think is fantastic. And that's a good kind of that's a good mix of people that are coming that have only fairly recently found out about the team. But yeah, there's fans that come and watch with us that go back to that first iteration of the Wolves when we were in the Premier League, and they followed us all the way down and back up again. So we've really got a nice mix and a nice balance within the group.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Boca Juniors fan, right? So I growing up as my dad, my parents, is watching Copa Libertadores at home and all that, but I haven't heard of any group like that here in Houston. So it's pretty cool when you're able to hang out with 20, 30 people and everybody with their jerseys on. And I don't know if you guys chant and scream and sing, but it's such a cool atmosphere. Like you can have 5 people as long as everybody.
That's right. Yeah.
Again, it's so cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to go check it out to be once we can go and get back.
You got a VIP invite for sure. We'll see you right at the front.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So all right, let me ask you questions about the upcoming games.
Sure.
Before we get to the Premier, let me ask you about the Europa League. You guys are playing Olympiacos, or y'all got the second leg coming up?
Got the second leg, yeah. So it's one each going into that tie. So we've got the away goal, and I think I was kind of happy enough with that result, bringing them back to Molineux, knowing that as long as we don't. We're in a good position with that away goal to kind of kick on and hopefully progress. So that's exciting. It kind of opens up another step in that tournament, and again another step towards the Champions League if we continue and whoever eventually wins it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, is that what the quarterfinals, right?
It is, yeah. So,
yeah, quarterfinals. So yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. Competing internationally also, like in those big leagues. And
yeah.
But yeah, so June 17th, the Premier League is coming. There's 9 matches left. It's probably gonna be shorter, right? Like every other league is kind of doing. Like the German league, they're playing like kind of midweek games as well.
Yeah.
So I got all the names down of the teams that y'all playing. I'm going to give you the name, and you're going to give me like a result, and how do you think, the Wolves are going to do against those teams. Because
okay.
y'all got some easy games, per se, the first couple of ones. But then after that, like everybody's fighting for those, Champions League spot, Europa League spots. So I'm going to go ahead and give them out to you, and then you tell me your side of the story.
Okay,
so
got it.
Y'all got West Ham United. They're kind of low on the table, but
yeah, they're battling relegation as well. It'll be a tough match. I'm going for a 2-0 away win to us.
2-0 win. All right. Bournemouth. Bournemouth? I'm really bad with names, by the way.
Bournemouth, yeah. Again, you just say it really quick. You say Bournemouth. So Bournemouth. And another team exactly in the same spot that Villa are. So we're playing them at home. Yeah, I'm going to be positive and say another 2-0 there.
2-0. And you guys are pretty strong at home, right?
This season we've been pretty decent. Yeah, it was a little bit of an Achilles heel for us last year that we did really well against the big teams, but we came unstuck with those toward the bottom. For example, Huddersfield beat us home and away. They beat us twice.
Oh, wow.
So that's been corrected a little bit this season. So we've got that in our favour.
Good, that's good. Aston Villa.
That's a derby. Again, they're fighting for their lives as well. So it's away. It's at Villa. I'm going for a draw, 1 each.
Draw. All right. And now we're getting into the hard ones, especially towards the end when everybody's like battling and want to get those spots, especially those big teams that kind of have to stay up there because they're big or whatever. So y'all got Arsenal next.
That's Arsenal at home, and it really depends which Arsenal turns up. We steamrolled them last season. I'm going to go for the same. I think we're going to beat them 3-1.
3-1. All right. 3-1 win. No losses yet. That's good. Sheffield United, right? They're pretty up.
It's us and them at the moment, and this particular game, regardless of everyone else, this could decide some final places. So it's going to be tough. It's very hard for me to predict a Wolves loss. I'm a terrible gambler, so I'm going to go.
That's how I am with my teams.
Yeah, I'm going to go 1 each, even though I'm putting an asterisk on that we could see a loss there.
All right, 1 each, and I'll put the asterisk there. And then as they go, I'm gonna let you know what you predicted before the game, and then so you can be held accountable for your result. Y'all got Everton at home.
They're under kind of more of a renaissance with Ancelotti. I don't think it would be an easy game as it would have been earlier on in the season. So I'm going to go for a draw in that, probably 2 each.
Draw 2 each. Y'all got Burnley.
Burnley, yeah, that's going to be away from home as well. But this was one of the teams last year that we tripped up against on our travels. So we're going to steady that ship and we're going to beat them 2-0.
2-0. And then y'all come to the last two, which are going to be critical. Crystal Palace.
I think we'll have the momentum last home game and we'll beat them 3-1.
3-1. Hey, you have a memories, huh? Home and away. And the last game of the season, away at Chelsea.
I think we'll have it all wrapped up then, and we'll be in a position of qualification for one of the European tournaments. I think we may take the foot off the gas slightly, and I'll predict a 2-1 loss.
Oh wow! Okay, our first loss in 9 games. Cool. All right, yeah. So that's basically it. How many? Let me see how many goals. Let me see if I can find it. You probably know on top of your head. How many goals does Jimenez have right now?
12-ish. 12. I want to think, yeah.
How many goals do you think he'll finish off with?
That's a tricky one because he's an expectant father, and if Bambino turns up, does that take him out for a game or two, or does the sleepless nights cause some disruption to his preparation, or is it kind of is he doing the old kind of celebration and scoring, and it's all because of the baby? So he'll comfortably get double figures, and he's gonna end up with 15 goals in the Premier League this season.
15. All right, cool. I'm writing everything down, and then I'll give you the numbers at the end.
This is good. Yeah, I like it.
All right, cool. Let's see. Yeah, so that's basically it. And obviously, you predict that y'all guys gonna make it into one of these international cups. Do you want to say which one, or just leave it there?
I think we'll make the Europa qualification the one that's automatic. So there's a lot of kind of flux at the moment, because whether Manchester City's transfer ban gets upheld, the ban from European competition, how does that shift things? Does everyone drop down a place? Mm-hmm. Does a team go on and win one of the competitions and opens up another space? So, again, taking a guess, I think we'll get a Europa place without having to go through the preliminary rounds, and I think that'll be a successful season.
Cool. So how many teams go to the Europa League? Is it just that fifth place, or is there a couple more?
It depends on the FA Cup as well. So, and the League Cup as well, kind of the Carabao one, and the permutations of it shift in again with Man City's involvement or not, and whoever kind of finishes in those in those places above is going to dictate kind of how far that qualification goes down to the rest of the league. So we finished 7th last year, that thanks to Manchester City winning the league and winning the FA Cup, that brought preliminary Europa qualification down to 7th. So that's how we got in last year.
Yeah, that was my, because I was looking that last year y'all ended up 7th place, but y'all made it to the Europa League, and I didn't know why. Like I said, I haven't kept up. And now that you mention it, it makes complete
sense. There's a lot of permutations. Yeah. It kind of it can change week by week when you get into these kind of the latter part of the season.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we covered everything that we had to cover. Do you want to just tell everybody again where you guys where they can find you or the group?
Sure thing. You guys meet up? Yeah, we're HoustonWolves.com, which is our website. So HoustonWolves.com. We're active on Twitter, and our watch parties are pretty regular at Nick's Place, which is a sports bar off of Westheimer on the west side of town. So pretty much every Saturday game that's a 9 p.m. kickoff or later, we'll be there. And again, there's a few hardened souls who'll show up for those midweek games as well, be it in the Premier League or the Europa. So we're open, and we're welcome to all fans, as long as you don't support West Brom.
Just a little caveat, right? There's a sign at the door that says if you're a West Brom fan, you can't come in. All right, cool. But I'll have you guys' description under under the stuff, so you guys can go ahead and follow Paul and the Houston Wolves over here. But thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Christian. Pleasure. Anytime.
Thank you for your knowledge. You're obviously like a good, true British man. You know your soccer, right?
That's right.
So, yeah. Thank you again. And hopefully we can do this soon. Hopefully whenever you guys make it into a Champions League.
Yeah, definitely, man. Love to be a part of that for sure.
Cool. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you for your time.
Have a good one. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you.